Hi, I'm Biz Cush, a life coach and therapist, and your host here on the Awaken Your Wise Woman podcast. We're talking to women all over the world who found their way back to themselves, to their inner knowing, to their intuition, to their wisest self. We're exploring how to feel alive, authentic, engaged, and fully present in your life. Let's awaken your wise woman. Hi, and welcome back to the Awaken Your Wise Woman podcast. I'm your host, Biz Cush, and I'm so happy that you're here. I don't know what the weather is like where you are. I just got back from a lovely break, a vacation, actually traveled outside of the country for the first time in years. And so got to spend some time in beautiful Playa del Carmen in Mexico. And the weather was in the 80s during the day. We had beautiful sunshine, a couple of surprise afternoon showers, but overall, it was so great to travel, to be immersed in a different culture, as well as getting some well-needed rest and relaxation. And as always, travel activates parts of me, and if I'm open to listening, gives me some insight on me. And I'm going to be exploring that further probably in another episode. But today I just wanted to talk about intuition, trusting ourselves, tuning in and listening, which was part of my experience in Mexico as well, was really listening to myself and my parts. But spring has not fully sprung here in Maryland. We are still having some chilly weather. In fact, while we were away, I heard it went down into the 20s, which is crazy for the end of March. And I guess it's not really. We're still not fully into spring, so I shouldn't be surprised, but I am definitely ready for springtime. So I wanted to share an interesting experience I've had. I know over the last few months, I've been talking about learning how to trust yourself, and that boundaries and trust go together, and that tapping into your intuition and really fully listening to yourself really builds trust within. Keeping promises builds trust within. But for whatever reason, over the last month or two, there's been some experiences that have just gelled, really just came to me like this beautiful nugget of gold of information about me and about my business. And I thought I would share it here. I do share this in my newsletter. So, if you wanted to read the post that I wrote about this, you can subscribe to my newsletter. I'm not sure that I'll make it public as far as a blog post, but that could come too. So if you want future updates, please subscribe to the newsletter. Go to elizabethcushcoaching.com/sign up. But it is funny to me how ideas, how insight can build over a period of experiences. And what it felt like to me was that the universe was dropping nuggets into my life, into my experiences, into my awareness. And I was noticing them as sort of individual pieces versus seeing and feeling each experience as a greater part of a whole, if that makes sense. And so I'll tell you what happened. I was in a training with an intuitive healer for entrepreneurs, Carrie Nola, who has been on the podcast. And she was a guest speaker at a mastermind that I'm a part of. And she just suggested, because we're all entrepreneurs that are a part of this mastermind, and she suggested that we pause for a moment and ask our business what it needed. And so we all got quiet. We all just tuned into ourselves. At least I did. And you know what came through for me? Trust yourself. Those were the words that instantly sprang to mind. Trust yourself. I know I talk about listening to your wisest self, returning home to you, learning to love all parts of you. And of course, what do they have in common? We have to learn to trust ourselves and our intuition and our feminine power. And my business was calling to me, saying, hey there, what you're doing is helping women learn how to trust themselves. And you need to say that loud and clear. Enough of this stepping around it, talking about boundaries and self-care and self-compassion. You need to say this loud and clear and from your heart. But the message was also for me personally, not just about my business, about me. And my business was telling me that I needed to trust myself in this process that is unfolding. To trust that I am enough, that I can bring this forth out into the world, but also deeply hold it in my life. And although, as I said, this session with Carrie was very profound for me, there were messages along the way that, as I said, I had taken sort of piecemeal as they dropped into my lap. I was like, this feels important, and then kind of set it aside. So the first message, a few weeks before this group reading for my mastermind, I was gathering with my authentic movement group, the leader of which was going on maternity leave. And we were gathering so that we could honor her experience of her birth and giving herself time away. But also, just as a group, our gathering is such an important part of all of our lives that we wanted to be able to close this time in a really specific and mindful way. So we invited a henna tattoo artist and who was also an intuitive reader to come to our last gathering before we broke for Megan's maternity leave. When it was my turn to be tattooed, I wanted something small. I wanted something kind of just personal for me. Other people were getting their whole hands tattooed or feet or something on their arm or belly. And I just wanted something small on my wrist. And I just asked her to create something. I didn't have anything specific in mind. And she drew a small mandala with the word trust on top. She tattooed trust right on my wrist. And the feeling I got as the henna paste wore off and the beautiful warm brown tattoo stayed with me. The feeling I got when I looked at it each time just filled me with just a beautiful sense of myself, I guess. It just really touched me. It touched my heart. And I decided that I needed to have this permanently tattooed on my wrist. I don't have tattoos. I am not a tattoo person. In fact, my kids and my husband got a tattoo, and I was like, no, thanks. I don't want to have a tattoo, but this really spoke to me. And although I haven't done it yet, I have time blocked out to get it done this month. So I'm very excited, and we'll share that when it happens. So I was telling my sister about this experience, and I shared how much this tattoo moved me. And she was all excited. She was like, "Where's the tattoo?" And I said, "It's on my wrist." And so she immediately made me send her a picture of it. And she shared that her upcoming novel, which she is currently still working on, but that has gone to the sort of editing stages, one of the characters has trust tattooed on her wrist. And my sister said that she has always wanted the word trust tattooed on her wrist. So maybe that will happen together. Maybe she will get her own tattoo and we will share that experience virtually since we live on other sides of the country. So that was so crazy. I was like, "What? Okay, well, that was another sort of enlightening moment that dropped into my lap." But shortly after the tattoo and before the message from my business, I received a deck of intuition oracle cards from Kim Woods, who was a podcast guest a couple of weeks ago. And I love oracle cards. I love tarot cards. I love getting those readings. And so I excitedly opened the deck, shuffled them, and the first card that I pulled was Shine. And it asks, "How are you hiding your light? What are you keeping in the dark and hidden from the world?" And what instantly came through for me was myself. I wasn't trusting that I knew what I needed to share. And that even in my sharing, it hasn't felt that this is fully coming from my heart. I think there was still a part of me feeling as if I was somehow an imposter, playing a role, not fully embodying the work that feels so, so important to me. And so this card was saying, "You know what? You need to shine up. You need to bring this forth. You need to speak your truth and stop hiding." And honestly, that is true for me in life and in my business, is showing up fully, speaking my truth, risking sometimes confrontation or even risking being fully seen feels scary. I carry a lot of fear, and fear of being fully seen has always been hard. And so, again, I have been working on this soulful work for a long time, but it always surprises me when new things show up. And sometimes I feel like I shouldn't share these things because I should know all the things. But of course, who does, right? No one. No one does. Not a single one of us knows all the things. So I'll tell you that that's the place I come from in my coaching work, is that I don't know all the things, and I will gladly share what I don't know or ways I'm learning to know more, because that is part of this beautiful, beautiful process. And so, as all of these pieces sort of fell together in this one intuitive reading that, I don't know, just really made me sort of look back at all of the pieces that have led up to this sort of revelation, this lightning bolt of awareness, this beautiful gold nugget that dropped in my lap. And of course, I know trust is the key. Like, I know it in my head. I know it in my brain that I have to trust myself, and that building trust within has been my soul work for the last few years. But I wasn't holding that in my heart in a way that this somehow felt different, that I felt I fully took this into my heart. I hadn't really seen trust as the portal, the key, the glue that holds all of my work together with women. That what we do together, learning healthy boundaries, taking better care of ourselves, listening to ourselves, and keeping promises to ourselves, the self-compassion work, even work through life transitions, points us back to us. It points us back to us. When we learn to trust our gut, our intuition, ourselves, we open up to others and new opportunities with more ease and confidence. And amazingly, the other people in our lives, as we begin to do this, as we begin to show up fully and trusting ourselves to do that, others meet us there. Others see the shift in our energy. And it can change relationships, it can change work environment, it can change so much. And really, most importantly, your authenticity shines through. You're no longer hiding your beautiful light from the world when you learn to trust yourself and show up fully. That beautiful light shines through. You learn to come home to yourself, to the wise woman within you, and you begin to show up in your life from your heart, from your truest self. And that's something. That is really, really something. If you would like to work on building the pieces, taking the steps, moving toward your most authentic, wisest self through the work of building trust within, I would love to talk to you. I'm excited, so excited to do this work with you. If this resonates with you and you want to know more about working with me, you can go to elizabethcushcoaching.com/book-a-session or go to the homepage and there's a button that says Let's Talk, and you can book a 20-minute free consultation with me to know more about what it would be like to come back to you, to trust yourself fully, to show up in the world with your beautiful, shining feminine energy flowing out into the world. Have a great week. I look forward to connecting with you back here on the podcast in a couple of weeks. Thanks for listening to the Awaken Your Wise Woman podcast. The information in this podcast is not a substitute for seeking help from a licensed mental health professional. Music by Andy Cush, sound editing by Laura Disler, and show notes by Kathy Cush. If you'd like more information about me, Biz Cush, and the resources shared today, go to awakenyourwisewoman.com.